What do you want from the PS5 Pro? Well, Kotaku did a poll and asked their readers what they wanted from a PS5 Pro, and we're going to take a look at it and see if they align with what the Blaze2K community wants. Let's get into it. I'm Blaze2K. Hit the like, subscribe, click the bell icon, and check the links down below for some really cool deals and some cool PlayStation goodies. Have you hit that like and subscribe button? I hope so. Anyways, here's what Kotaku readers want from a PS5 Pro. We asked what you'd want to see in an update to Sony's current console. Now, this console is slated to come out, I believe, later this year, supposedly, but in all honesty, I don't think they should, just because there's not really any new games coming to the market this year that could ship with this thing to make this thing worthwhile, unless a lot of the developers have big, massive, like, upgrades planned for their games across the board, across the spectrum, as far as PlayStation games go, for this new console to make it worthwhile. But right now, I don't know. But if you know me from PS5 restock days, we will be starting a PS5 restock stream for the PS5 Pro if that does happen. Anyhow, let's take a look and let's see. Let me know in the comments as well what you want from a PS5 Pro, what makes it, worthwhile as far as buying goes, down below in the comment section, right? So time will tell if those PS5 rumors have any truth behind them, but until then, discussion about a hypothetical PS5 upgrade is a good opportunity to flesh out what we'd even want from such a machine in the first place. So we turn to you, the readers, and YouTube commenters, you guys, to discover what would compel you to spend another couple of $100 on an upgrade to Sony's current console. As suspected, the desire for an upgrade to the PS5 isn't universal. Many of you said there was no need for one, regardless of whatever bells and whistles it might offer. Others made it clear that if such a thing were to exist, then it ought to deliver on very clear performance standards. Other desires drifted into probably never going to happen category, especially those concerning backwards compatibility for games that predate the PS4. Imagine, okay, if they built in backwards compatibility as far as PS1, 2, and 3, like completely across the board, to the new PS5 Pro, ooh, that would be tempting. And add all those games to the PlayStation Store for you to buy. Ooh, now you've got me wanting one. If that is the case, that would be cool. That'd be a big selling point. Let's dig into what you have to say about the PS5 Pro. So, a new design. So, someone says, apocalyptic boredom says rectangle shape, or at least a flat bottom for Christ's sakes. The current design is the worst console to physically interact with ever, and it is a little bit weirdly shaped. I wasn't a fan of this. I mean, it does look cool. It looks cool, but I do, now I'm a little bit more of a minimalist. I do like something that's sleek, it's square, that's boxy. I mean, just look at the PS2. The PS2 was perfect for me. The PS2 Slim was even more perfect. The PS2 was the pinnacle of gaming consoles, as far as I was concerned. And then, obviously, when the PS3 came out, then they started doing all these weird curves and stuff like that, turning it into a George Foreman. I just want something square and rectangular and sleek and modern. Just a box of beauty, right? Sorry, I'm spitting out here. 100% agree. The only reason I'm still rocking my PS4 Pro is this very reason. I refuse to rearrange my entertainment console or center to accommodate Sony's poor design choices, says Paradescar. Someone says, I feel like the PS5's design brief was also it was going to be a centerpiece of your living room and needed to be some kind of statement piece sitting upright in its massive glory, rather than just a box packed underneath your TV. I don't need a statement piece. I just want a functional rectangle, ideally in black, so it fades with my shelving. I want understated, not ostentatious. I want the design style of the PS4, by Negative Zero there. That's a fair point. So it says, can't stand to look at the PS5 either, but thankfully my TV stand has an opaque cabinet doors. Obviously I keep the door open when gaming for airflow, but I just want to watch TV. My PS5 and other consoles are completely hidden from view. When I'm actively playing a game, my eyes are focused on the TV, not the ugly console. I'm okay with the odd angles, but I agree with the flat bottom. I needed to stack a few of these felt pads that stick to the bottom of the chairs on the right side of the system. The pads used to help the furniture slide better on hardware floors. Weirder design, just because I find the design complaints dumb. Make it a lumpy rhomboid or a pentagonal plushie. Integrate a fish tank or a toaster oven. Get some extra use out of that heat. Okay. 4K 60 FPS across the board. No, I'm going to go one further. 4K 120 hertz. FPS, 120 FPS across the board. 4K 120, that right there is the sweet spot. None of this 4K 30, none of this 4K 60. 4K 120 across the board. Now we've got LG, now every TV's building in 120 hertz. I mean, come on. higher than 60. Higher than 60 is the best experience. I mean, I play all my games on PC at like 120 FPS or more, and it feels just so good. Feels so good. I never thought, I mean, I used to play at 60 FPS all the time on everything, right? 60 was my minimum. I was okay with 60, but 120, believe it or not, it's just a game changer. So if they could integrate 120 F40 4K across the board, that would be perfect for me. Actually powerful enough to run 4K at 60 on any game, not just varying degrees of. None of this 30 FPS or performance mode, maybe 60 FPS stuff or reduced settings. When both PS5 and Xbox Series X specs were released years ago, I knew right away that there would be compromises. 4K 60, everyone seems to be saying 4K 60 path tracing without DLSS. No, 120 FPS. All right. None of this 60, we're past 60 FPS. Jeez. More storage, better cooling, rearrangement of existing peripheral ports. So more storage, better cooling, rearrangement of existing peripheral ports. In all fairness to Sony, you can upgrade your own storage. I mean, with an actual PC NVMe SSD, you don't need no proprietary one. I'm looking at you, Xbox. So yeah, I mean, that's a non-point really. I mean, a burst, I mean, sure, they're not really going to slap a 2 terabyte hard drive in their new console, are they? For cost saving measures, they're going to have you spend that separately, or that just people ain't going to buy it. If they're going to have to pay for more storage than they need. Better cooling, that's always good. Better cooling is always good. Rearrangement of existing peripheral ports, or extra ones, so more ports. Fair enough. Better quality DualSense controllers. So are people saying DualSense controllers are fragile? Mine seems to be working okay. I mean, the PS4 controller, the DualShock controller, I had to go through several of them. The sticks, like the rubber and the sticks, kept wearing off when I was playing games, and I had to get several replacements of those. But yeah, for the DualSense, it seems to be fine so far. Someone says, I want the DualSense controllers not to wear out after a year. Damn, what do you be playing? I'm about to order a third one. As soon as they get out of warranty, the left stick goes to crap. I'm now on my third DualSense. Thankfully, it's worked ever since. 2 defective DualSense controllers within a week. Was not promising though. Kang81, I feel your pain. More expansive backwards compatibility. That is always good. We love backwards compatibility, but then at some point you just got to question, should we just emulate? Should we use emulation? You know, emulation for PSP, PS1, PS2, PS3 emulation's really taking off right now. If you have a PC to support it, certainly. I mean, not everyone does. Consoles are typically everyone's, you know, a lot of people's only option to play games. So yeah, expansive backwards compatibility, that's fair. And Sony makes money, keeps games alive, preserves games. Game preservation is a win. So yeah, more expansive backwards compatibility is always good. Physical, but we all know, I'm looking at you guys, I'm looking at PlayStation, sorry, PSVR 2, backwards compatibility, completely missing. Now, I've seen a few comments where people are like, well, you know, it uses different software, uses different hardware, they're totally different technology for the hand tracking in the PSVR 2. No! They could have easily made a compatibility layer, a software layer that converts that input from the previous controllers into the, you know, from the previous controllers to the new controllers. Just a compatibility layer that basically translates the same movement algorithm to the new algorithm with the new controllers. It's not impossible. Sony could have done that. They really could have done that, but they didn't want to invest that money into that. They didn't feel like spending extra money in doing that. They thought it was too expensive to do, which is just a cop-out excuse for it, in my opinion. So, physical backwards compatibility. Ooh, I really don't think that's going to happen. I've accepted at this point it probably won't happen, but it's a home run in terms of brand perception. Slightly, anyone having to hook up various old systems to play different things. I've got a vast library of PS1, 2, 3, and 4, and now PS5 games I've amassed over 30 years. The reason, Seek and Freak, they don't do this is because they want you to buy remasters of games. They want you to buy the games again and again and again, you know, and they want to sell new games. It's a noble cause. It's a noble request that Sony does this. I get it. I want them to do this. I think this would be a win for the consumer. It'd be a win for you. And I think it'd be a win for Sony maybe in the end. But they're too greedy. They don't want you to use your catalog of 400 PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games. They want you to buy new games for the PS5. And they want you to pay even more money to get the PS5 Pro upgrade to those PS5 games. They're too greedy. They're not going to do it. But I sincerely hope they would. I mean, physical compatibility, like being able to shove a PS1 or 2 or 3 disc in, that I don't even know if there's a disc reader that can literally do that, you know. And plus, it's such a niche thing now. PS1, PS2, PS3, PS4 games are like getting more and more and more expensive over time. I mean, shoot, you're almost paying more money for these old games than you are on new games. It's just absolutely nuts. And I think like there's like 0.01% of the community that actively goes out and buys or has a collection of old PS1, 2, 3, and 4 games. That's more of a, you know, retro gamer sort of thing now. I think for as far as cost effectiveness goes, you're better just sticking to emulation. But yeah, that's good for his situation. If he's got a massive mountain of old PS1, 2, 3, 4 games that he's amassed over 30 years, that's great for him. But the amount of money it will cost to basically implement that hardware physical backwards compatibility into the PS5 Pro, it's just not going to happen. We've been asking for this every PS5. They've not done it for a reason. So local PS1, 2, 3 emulation, again, software emulation is fine. I think that's more than likely what's going to happen if they are going to do this. Ideally, enabling emulation for all past systems, including PS3, PS Vita games, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Like I said, I've said this before, I think PlayStation need to release a handheld that can emulate PS1, 2, and 3 games. A handheld that can do it. I think that would be ideal. And also play maybe PS4, potentially PS5 games scaled down at a lower resolution. I think that would be ideal rather than this whole PS Portal thing, right? Ideally enabling emulation for all blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. So things you don't need new hardware for. Bam. I'd like more games designed exclusively for the PS5 and Series X, long before talks of a Pro for either system. I'm not talking about better looking games, but games that technically could not function on previous gen consoles. Kang81, that is a fantastic point, sir. That is a fantastic point. I feel like we need more games like tailored specifically for these next gen systems to eke every inch, every millimeter of performance out of them, right? Every little tidbit of performance out of them, just like they used to do for the PS3, like MotorStorm, like a lot of games that just weren't possible before these consoles came out. I feel like we're not seeing true next gen games on these current gen consoles, or we're not seeing true current gen games on these consoles, or everyone's focused on cross platform, right? Even on lower end systems. So I think that's sort of hindering us a little bit. The real answer is all the quality of life ecosystem stuff that Xbox has. Free cloud saves instead of locked behind a PS Plus subscription and a toggle. That's a really good point. Free next-gen upgrades from PS4 to PS5, automatically install the correct version depending on console, and we're having to pick the correct version, aka Xbox Smart Delivery. That is another fantastic point. Cross-save from PS5 to PS4. Currently, you can upgrade the PS4 saves to PS5 saves, but not the other way around. Yes, included PC and PS4 copies with every PS5 game, allowing installation on any platform, aka Xbox Play Anywhere. Now that would be good. I do love that about Xbox games, Xbox first party titles, the fact that you buy it once, and you can play it on PC, you can play it on Xbox, you can play it on your handheld gaming PC, providing that it's got Windows on it, and obviously Game Pass support and Xbox Game Pass support. That is pretty sick and pretty sweet. You know, it saves the consumer money in the long run, and I'm glad Xbox and Microsoft specifically didn't do the tactics that Sony did, obviously, and try and nickel and dime everyone to pay for upgrades and pay for the game twice to play it on two different systems. Microsoft and Xbox are doing a really good job, and as far as like doing what's right for the consumer, right? Save syncing between PC, PS4, and PS5 versions of a game. I mean, very rarely do you. I mean, they would have to include, you know, including PC copies with every PS4 or PS5 game to basically do save syncing between PC and PS5. There's very few people that have a gaming PC and a PS5 and want to switch back and forth and play the same game on both. I mean, that's a little bit weird unless you've got PS5 in the living room, gaming PC in the bedroom, and you like going back and forth. DualShock 4 controller support for PS5. That would be good. That would be very good, actually. So Sony needs to go back and patch their existing games to properly support PS5. Why is The Last Guardian still capped at 30 FPS? Why has Bloodborne not been updated in any way? Much of Sony's first-party library looks and runs like crap because it's capped at low resolutions and frame rates from the PS3 and PS4 days. That's a good point. 8 out of 10, or maybe just no PS5 Pro at all. Should they just not release a PS5 Pro? Let me know in the comments. I don't want a Pro. I want consoles to be finished in their final form, not including slims from day one. Pro consoles are consoles makers double dipping. If we are at the point where the current PS5 isn't considered acceptable in terms of performance, then it's time for the PS6. Not that I actually think we're at that point. I remember when, before the PS5 came out, people were like, oh, the console generation's just dying. You know, consoles are no longer big. You know, I think we're at the final end days for console gaming, and it's all going to go to cloud gaming. It's not happened, and I don't think it's still going to happen. There are those people that are like, consoles are finished. They're not going to make a PS6. They're not going to make a PS7. They probably are. It's still selling a lot. Absolutely nothing like with the PS4 Pro. There's no reason whatsoever for something like this to exist. The PS4 Pro did bring like 4K gaming, or at least upscale to 4K gaming, and make it a little bit more mainstream. And I experienced that, I believe, with Gran Turismo Sport. I think everything just looked more crisper, cleaner. The frame rate was higher. I think in Gran Turismo 7 too, right? They were doing comparisons between, you know, PS4 and then the PS4 Pro, and the PS4 Pro was just so much better. And that's the reason why I got one, actually. It's just like, you know, the frame rate alone and the crispiness. So the PS4 Pro actually had a lot of pros to it. Absolutely nothing like with the PS. Okay, so I'd rather have a price drop than a Pro model. That's a fair point. That is a very fair point. I mean, they've already did a PS5. They've done the PS5 Slim now, which frankly wasn't that much slimmer. Do we really need a Pro when there's like no games that can take advantage of it right now? We'd really, I mean, it's just, it would just be a money grab, wouldn't it? But let me know what you think in the comments. I mean, I'm all for getting hyped for a new PlayStation. Don't get me wrong, I am. With Grand Theft Auto 6 coming out next year, for sure. Honestly, it doesn't seem to be worth it, even less so than the PS4 Pro was. Right now, the biggest advances in gaming tech have been with ray tracing and AI upscaling, but neither of these particularly benefit from huge uplifts on AMD's hardware that's powering Xbox and PlayStation. Ray tracing is still quite bad on their hardware, and they've gone with a platform-agnostic upscaling solution, which is super easy or super user-friendly and uses FSR in current consoles, which is great. Obviously, an upgrade would perform better, but it feels like it would really be drops in the bucket. And lastly, give me the PS9. Forget the PS5 Pro, forget the PS6, 7, or the 8. I want to jump straight to the PlayStation 9. I want to enter the Matrix. Hook me up. Anyways, guys, let me know, more importantly, I want to know what your thoughts are. What were your thoughts on the opinions of the readers on Kotaku? Do you agree with them? Do you not want a PS5 Pro? Do you want a PS5 Pro? What are you looking forward to most on the next iteration of PlayStation's hardware? Let me know down below in the comments. As always, I'm Blaze2K. Hit the like, subscribe, click the bell icon. Come join me on stream every day. Usually in the morning times here in USA time. Yeah, come join me on stream. Come watch me play Gran Turismo 7, American Truck Simulator, Warzone, and hopefully back to some scary games and PC games very soon. Anyways, I love you. I appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace out. Bye.